David, is this milestone particularly special for you and into the top 10 of games played?
Good start. I guess so. It was put to me earlier in the week that this was coming up, obviously, this week, and at the time I replied as it's not something, milestones aren't something that I think about too much. I certainly didn't know this was coming. But then a couple of days since, I guess the magnitude of football that it represents and the challenges and barriers, I guess, overcome from a WA-based team, I think puts it into perspective that it's pretty rare. So very proud. It makes me reflect on the help behind the scenes that I've had from people at the football club, my family and friends, people away from football. So it means. I guess it means a lot to me, but it means a lot to a lot of people.
You're someone who sort of looks through the history of the game at points in your career and has a look at those names that you're up there with now.
Yeah, I was just running through that actually with Luke. Some of the guys and what they've achieved in football is remarkable, and to think that from a games played perspective that I'm up there is a bit surreal, to be
honest. Bernie Quinlan, a little bit before your time. Do you know much about Bernie?
No, not a whole lot, to be honest. Obviously recognise the name and been through, looked up a little bit about his career, but not one that really jumped out.
In terms of the stats about you that you've probably just been told about, does anything surprise you or jump out at you?
So Fremantle, I'll just put a little montage up last night. One of the ones that really jumped out to me was that I've played in every Fremantle player's 200th game. I remember quite a few of those. I remember Shane Parker's at the MCG, him kicking a goal, which was a real highlight for us all at the time. So things like that, I guess, that you don't really think about all the time and you get to reflect on in these moments are really precious.
What do you put your durability down to when you look at the list of names you're up against and the fact that you've done it travelling so many more kilometres than anyone else? How do you reflect on that durability and what do you put it down to?
A fair bit of luck. Yeah, we play a combative sport and I've really avoided contact injuries, which you can't really prep for, throughout my entire career. So I've been very lucky. As I mentioned before, I've had an amazing support network, both at the club and away, that have really helped, particularly my wife, who has got up to our children at the middle of the night for 9 years now. She's done the hard yards there. A fair bit of luck. Obviously, attention to detail in my preparation. I'm fairly fastidious in that, and it drives my friends and family insane sometimes. But have a steadfast focus on what I want to achieve.
Has the travel felt like a burden to you at all through your career? Or is it something you've got used to and it's just part of the rhythm of playing in WA?
Yeah, sometimes it certainly does. Yeah, the back half of years, definitely. I remember when I first met my now wife and we were just dating, that sometimes having those breaks throughout the year were good. A couple of days away to refresh the mind and mainly for her. To be away from me for a couple of days, it would probably be good for her. But it's something that I guess you adapt to and you figure out your own little strategies and techniques, and something that the club has put a whole heap of time into over my career about how we can best recover and get through those, particularly on the back end of games. Coming back is the hardest one.
You mentioned the routines that you're fastidious about. Is there one that particularly drives your friends and family insane?
I don't think there's a particular one. I think it's the combination of quite a few things. I've been in the game for a long time now, so I understand my body and what I require to prep for a season and within a season. So I don't think there's any one particular thing. It's just a lot of things. But that getting up to children in the middle of the night would be one for my wife, I think.
Are you usually the first player at the airport for every away game?
I don't try to be, but I think I sometimes am, yeah.
And you like that feeling of not being rushed?
Well, I think that might harken back to when I was in under 18s, got invited to the draft camp, and my mum is the complete opposite. So if we need to be at the airport an hour before, we're always there 25 minutes before. And I can remember running down the airport with my mum and carrying bags, trying to get on the plane to go to the AFL draft camp. So it may have stemmed from that.
And you mentioned you've played in every player's 200th game. You've also played in nearly every final that the club's played in, and then spent 6 years out, pretty much all in your 30s. At any point in the last 6 years, have you just assumed that's it, I'm not going to play finals again, or for a lot of it? Did you think that?
No, I try not to assume many things, but it's certainly been a long time out and something that has been, I guess, a grinding focus for the entire club over those years. Obviously, we on the back of that was, prior to that was a pretty successful period for the club, and then to bottom out like we did and really grind our way back and take a little while to get back to the potential position we're in now has been a long time coming. So we're trying to really make the most of our time now and focus on what we can do.
It's obviously a great team and era you're part of, sort of 13 to 15. One by one, you've watched all those guys finish up. How lucky do you feel now that to have an opportunity almost with a new generation and a new era that obviously those guys, especially part of that grand final team, didn't get?
Yeah, well, that's a little way down the track what you're talking about. But one thing that I'm reflecting on a lot at the moment is that these opportunities aren't given. We don't have any right. We have to take what we'll get, and what we've achieved so far this year has been on the back of really hard work and really dedicated to our processes and our connections. So something we're not taking for granted, something we're really trying to own and take care of and really drive us forward.
I think I heard you say on the radio, so you believe you've got plenty more games, good games left ahead of you. Can you be more specific? How many games you feel you've got left in you?
Well, I can't put a number on it, but I know that within games at the moment I'm feeling quite good off a pretty limited pre-season. I destroyed my ankle out here prior to Christmas this year and didn't get much in after that. So, it was always kind of coming into the year with a bit of a feeling that it might be a bit of a build for me throughout. But yeah, within games, feeling really good, recovering and pulling up from games, more importantly, really well. Still getting a whole lot of training in during the week, in season. So, and I still love the Monday to Friday grind, the competitive nature of AFL football, still really thriving on that. So I'll be here until they kick me out.
You might not put a number on it, but do any of your younger teammates, Mundy 400, do they sort of get you in your ear about that? Yeah,
that's obviously floated a fair bit, and through the social media stuff, it's nice to have that kind of support, and I guess the feeling of that romance and that nostalgia, with that much history behind it, would be is nice to be a part of.
Justin talks often about the on-field coach that you can be for him. How important do you think that is as part of what you can bring to the team?
Yeah, I see that as a large part of my, on-field value. I remember coming through as a young fella myself, and the direction that I had from, guys like Peter Bell at the time and Sean McManus, Troy Cook, Paul Hazelby, those kind of guys, was immense. It made me feel more comfortable in a pretty intimidating environment. So, as I said before, through experience, I feel like I see the game pretty well. I understand what we're trying to do pretty well, I think, and can pick up opposition trends. So I try and help the team as best I can in those moments and in that way.
Have you done coaching courses? Have you done coaching courses and that sort of thing to prepare you if that's where you think you might head?
Yep, I've done a bit of that kind of stuff. Life after football has been on the front of my mind for a long time now, so I can't talk to him and look at the camera, and I'm not looking down the camera.
Thanks, man.
Carlton this weekend, what are you expecting? And, have you guys looked into the fact that you could finish the game at the top of the ladder, given that there's a one less thing for that?
Yeah. Well, that'd be lovely. There's a fair bit of work to get done before that, but we understand Carlton. We played them earlier in the year, and a lot of their trends and traits are similar. They are a really fast-starting, hard-working contest team. They've got stars and threats all across the ground. It's going to be a really great challenge for us, and I think we play really well at Marvel Stadium, but I think Marvel, the way they're playing at the moment in particular, will really suit how they're attacking the game. So, they've got a lot of threats, but so do we.
You've been a main cog in the engine room in the past. What's it like now, like watching Sarong, Brayshaw go at it?
Yeah, it's really rewarding, to be honest. I feel like we have a unit in the midfield and our entire team even who we are the sum of our parts. We're not really reliant on, even though Annie and Caleb and Will really are having great seasons, we're not reliant solely on one or two guys to really step up and dominate a game for us. So whilst a couple of guys are getting a bit more attention through the media and public, which is really warranted and really rewarding, I feel like our unit as a whole is what's been our strength.
What does Nat coming back mean for you for the rest of the season? It looked like your time in the centre bounces was cut a bit that game he came back.
Yeah, it always changes a little bit, and it's a bit game dependent on how things are going and how guys are going. But yeah, as a whole, we'll mix it up. As a midfield group, we play a little bit less game time anyway than most of our opposition, so that's just how we're built. Yeah, Nat coming back will obviously give us another dimension, both in the midfield and forward. How that plays out week to week is an in-game thing.
Bit of talk, Michael Walters might not get up for the game. Is there any illness going around the group at all? Or?
Well, there has been a little bit. Yeah, it's obviously coming through winter and it's a hard time of year for us all. But yeah, I think we're pretty okay.